Genesis 41. Then it came to pass at the end of 2 full years that Pharaoh had a dream, and behold, he stood by the river. Suddenly there came up out of the river 7 cows, fine looking and fat, and they fed in the meadow. Then behold, 7 other cows came up after them out of the river, ugly and gaunt, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly and gaunt cows ate the 7 fine looking fat cows. So Pharaoh awoke. He slept and dreamed a second time, and suddenly 7 heads of grain come up on the stalk, plump and good. Then behold, 7 thin heads, blighted by the east wind, sprang up after them. And the 7 thin heads devoured the 7 plump and full heads. So the Pharaoh awoke, and indeed it was a dream. Now it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled. And he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all its wise men. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief butler spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I remember my faults this day, when Pharaoh was angry with his servants and put me in custody in the house of the captain of the guard, both me and the chief baker. We each had a dream one night. He and I, each of us dreamed of according to the interpretation of his own dream. Now there was a young Hebrew man who was with us, a servant of the captain of the guard. And when we told him, and he interpreted our dreams for us, to each man he interpreted according to his own dream. And it came to pass, just as he interpreted for us. So it happened. He restored me to my office, and he hanged him. Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon. And he shaved, changed his clothes, and came to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said, Joseph, I have a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. But I have heard it said of you that you can understand a dream to interpret it. So Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It's not in me. God will give Pharaoh the answer of peace. Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, in my dream, I stood on the bank of the river. Suddenly 7 cows came out of the field, fine looking and fat, and they fed in the meadow. Then, behold, 7 other cows came up after them, poor and very ugly and gaunt. Such ugliness as I never seen in all the land of Egypt. And the gaunt and the ugly cows ate up the first 7, the fat cows. When they had eaten them, no one could have known that they had eaten them, for they were just as ugly at the beginning. So I awoke. Also I saw in my dream, and suddenly 7 heads came up, one stalk full and good. Then behold, 7 heads, withered, thin, and blighted by the east wind, sprang up after them, and the thin heads devoured the 7 good heads. So I told this to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh are one. God has shown Pharaoh what he's about to do. The 7 good cows in 7 years, and the 7 good heads in 7 years, the dreams are one. And the 7 thin and ugly cows which came up after them are 7 years. 7 empty heads blighted by the east wind are 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken to Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. Indeed, 7 years of great plenty will come through all of Egypt, but after them 7 years of famine will arise, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. And the famine will deplete the land, so plenty will be known in the land because the famine following, for it will be very severe. And the dream was repented to Pharaoh twice, because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore, let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man and set him over the land of Egypt. And let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land to collect 1/5 of the produce in Egypt in the 7 plentiful years. Let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming and store them under the authority of Pharaoh. Let them keep food in the cities. Then that food shall be as a reserve for the land for 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt. That land may not perish during the famine. Joseph's rise to power. So the advice was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said, "Can we find such one as this, a man in whom is the Spirit of God?" Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Inasmuch as God has shown you in all this, there is no one is as discerning and wise as you. You shall be over my house, and all the people shall be ruled according to your word. Only in regard to the throne will I be greater than you." And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "See, I have set you over the land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand, and he clothed him in garments of fine linen and put gold around his neck. And he had him ride in the second chariot which he had, and cried out before him, "Bow the knee." So he set him over the land of Egypt. Pharaoh also said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, and without consent no man may lift his hand or foot in all of Egypt. All the land of Egypt, And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zaphnath Pharaoh, and he gave him a wife, Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. So Joseph went out over all the land of Egypt. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. Now in 7 plentiful years the ground brought forth abundantly. So he gathered up all food in the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up the food in the cities. And he laid up in every city the food of the fields which surrounded them. So Joseph gathered very much grain, as the sand of the sea, until he stopped counting, for it was immeasurable. And to Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of famine came, whom Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On, bore to him. Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God has made me forget all my toil in my father's house. And the name of the second he called Ephraim, for God has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Then 7 years of plenty which were in the land of Egypt ended, and the 7 years of famine began to come. As Joseph had said, the famine was in all the lands, but in all the land Egypt there was bread. So when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. The Pharaoh said to you all, "Egyptians, go to Joseph. Whatever he says to you, do." The famine was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to Egyptians, and the famine became severe in the land of Egypt. So all the countries came to Joseph in Egypt to buy grain, because the famine was severe in all the lands. I don't know if you can tell where this is headed. Or good. Alright, give you a quick psalm. Psalm 121. A song of ascents. I lift my eyes to the hill, from whence comes my help. My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not allow your food to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is the shade at your right hand. The sun not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve you from all evil. He shall preserve your soul. The Lord shall preserve your going and your coming, from this time forth and even evermore. Psalm 121. I was glad when they said to me, Let us go into the house of the Lord. Our feet have been standing within your gates, O Jerusalem. Jerusalem is built as a city that is compact together, where the tribes go up, and the tribes of the Lord, the testimony of Israel, to give thanks to the Lord, for thrones are set there for judgment, the thrones of the house of David. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. For the sake of my brethren and the companions, I will now say, peace be with you. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. Psalms 123. Unto you I lift my eyes. O you who dwell in the heavens, behold, as the heavens of servants look to the hand of their masters, as the eyes of the maid to the hands of the mistress. So our eyes look to the Lord our God, until he has mercy on us. Have mercy on us, O Lord, have mercy on us. For we exceedingly filled with contempt, our souls exceedingly filled with the scorn of those who are at ease, with contempt of the proud. It's just a disgusting world. It just gets more and more disgusting. Amen, everybody.